Welcome, welcome. Happy Halloween. If you see my background, you already know I am a huge Halloween fan. So thanks for joining me on this Friday. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to get into Copilot for Outlook because Copilot is the new talk of the town. Copilot is Microsoft's implementation of AI, and we just have such an amazing treat for you. Now, as we go through this, I just want everyone to know that's on here some of you might not have access to Copilot. It doesn't come free with 365. It is a paid for license. So if your company or you as an individual decided to opt in for that, then you'll have access to it. But if not, then you might only have access to maybe the free Givey, which is the Copilot chat. So that's a little different than the regular Copilot as you're going through and seeing it integrated into the Office suite. But with that said, let's actually jump right in to our agenda for today. So first off, we're going to get into what is Copilot. We'll talk about Copilot processing, and then we'll also talk about the pros and cons of using Copilot. We'll then switch over and do a main focus on Outlook with Copilot, whereas we're summarizing emails, okay, which saves us so much time as we're going through our emails. If you're like me, I get a ton of emails all day long, and then I don't have to sit there and read the whole thing. I can summarize it, get an idea, see if there's any action items that I need to do, any important information, and then I can focus on more impactful tasks. Now, I can also draft an email, and for me, this is huge. Yes, I am a presenter, I am a trainer, I do like to talk, but when I'm writing emails, I always get stuck on how should I say it or what should the tone be? How should I respond? I don't know exactly. And it just takes up so much of my time just deciding the correct response. Now I don't have to worry about that. I just give Copilot an idea of what I'm thinking, and then it will draft an email for me. Also, changing the tone. Maybe you write the email out with Copilot, but then you notice the response from Copilot is a little too formal for this conversation. So I can ask it, hey, make it longer, make it shorter, make it more casual. Or maybe it's opposite. Maybe it's too casual and you're like, make it more formal. They even have an option, don't ask me why. I don't know who at Microsoft had this job, but they made an option to make it into a poem. So we're going to go over that too. I think it's just a funny little add on there. But then when we talk about Copilot, a lot of people are like, well, Joe, is it going to take over humanity? No, it's not. AI is an extension of us. It is a tool for us to use. There is still a huge need for human-made decisions and expertise behind the scenes. So for all of you that are looking into Copilot, don't just think of it as, oh, this is going to replace my job. Think of it, oh, this is going to make me more efficient at my job. And not only that, it also teaches you, which gets into our next topic, coaching by Copilot. You can actually get coached by Copilot on your emails and your writing style. It'll tell you, hey, the sentiment of this message is this, this, and that, the tone, the clarity, and it goes through and it teaches you how to better write your emails. And I think that's huge because it's not saying, oh, just let us write your emails for you. It's saying, if you decide you want to write your own email, guess what? We're going to help you out. We're going to coach you and teach you how to write it in the most efficient way. So you're learning from it. And I think learning, as you can tell, I'm a trainer, is one of my biggest things in life. Always being able to upskill. And if I can have artificial intelligence help me with that, it's that much more meaningful and impactful for me. Now, some of you, another thing with Outlook, may be using the classic version versus the new version. Just note that they will be giving away the classic versions sooner than later. That's going to be gone. I think it's going to be by 2027, so don't worry. You don't have to rush to the new one yet. But just note that they are going to stop updates, security patches, all of that to the classic version in 2026. And then they're going to just fully stop sending all updates to it in 2027. And you might have noticed they did this with Teams as well. So when we look at Teams, we had classic Teams and then the new Teams, and now classic is pretty much gone, right? It's only the new Teams. Same thing here. Classic Outlook's going to be gone. It's going to be the new Outlook. All right. So With that said, the first thing I want all of you to do, I'm going to give you all a moment before we jump into this, and then we're going to jump into what is Copilot. I want you all to take a moment and see if you have a license. And if you want to chat with me or ask questions, you can always type into the chat. I will look at the comments as well. So feel free to ask your questions during the live training. But yeah, let me know in the chat box. Do you have a license to Copilot? Or maybe you're thinking of a license to Copilot. All right. And I'll give everyone a moment to do that. And then we'll jump straight into what is Copilot. Awesome. Thank you, Carlos. It looks like you do have a license. So perfect. Now, a sure way to know if you have a license is by just opening up any of your Office apps. So, for instance, right away in my PowerPoint here, you'll see I have access to Copilot. If I open up Microsoft Word, for instance, I have access to Copilot right away. You'll actually see it when I open up a blank document. So this is a sure way to know, hey, I do have Copilot license. But if you don't see any of this, or if I close this, if you don't see it here, well, that just simply means you have no license and you can always purchase a license. Now, yeah, the licenses can be a little pricey. They are working on pricing, so that's always going to change. The more they add to it, I'm sure prices are going to vary. And the older the technology gets with it and the newness of it, all of that's going to sort of die down for the excitement. So always just keep an eye on the pricing. It might even one day become part of the suite just in general. And maybe the suite pricing is going to go up. So we don't know what's going to happen for finalizations for any of that, but always keep an eye out and take a look at what's new. AI is constantly changing. It's a new technology. So, with that said, let's jump straight into what is Copilot. So, Copilot is Microsoft's implementation of AI. You may have seen ChatGPT, Claude AI, Beautiful AI. There's so many AI different applications out there right now. It is crazy. There's probably over thousands of them. But what makes Copilot so unique is that it's actually integrated into our Office suite. As you just saw when I opened up Word or PowerPoint, it's all right there. And it helps you to write an email, create a document, create policies, create presentations, also analyze your data in Excel, one of my favorites. So keep an eye out. We're going to be running events like this all the time, and we will have an Excel one. And it is just so amazing how it not only does the stuff for you, but along the process of doing it, it teaches you so that you don't always have to use AI, right? I actually had someone that said, Joe, I'm kind of nervous about using pivot tables. I said, you can use AI for that. You have actually Copilot. So they used Copilot. The next time I talked to them, I said, so how's AI working? And they said, I don't really use it for pivot tables. It actually taught me how to do it, and I feel confident to do it on my own. I was so happy because, once again, that just proves AI isn't meant to be a replacement. It's meant to be an extension of us, and it's meant to teach us. And that was just amazing in itself. So, Copilot, artificial intelligence, and it's Microsoft's implementation. It's integrated into the suite, Teams, Forms, Outlook, you name it, it's there. Now I want to talk a little bit about the behind the scenes, though. You might be thinking, how does AI actually work? And this is most processing for AI, right? Not every AI is going to follow this process, but most do follow it. And this process is you enter in a prompt, right? For instance, I'm going to just give a very generic example. How do I make a non-bake cheesecake? All right. So it analyzes that. It takes my input, my prompt. It then actually sends it to what's known as the orchestration layer. And what the orchestration layer does is it breaks it down into a readable code for the AI. Because remember, we're still talking to a computer. Now, the best part about AI is that we can use natural language. We can ask just a regular question in English, but then the orchestration layer will turn it into a smart question for the AI model, or the AI brain, if you want to call it. Now it understands it, it looks for a response, and then while it's looking for that response, it then transfers it into a human-like response. So then the AI model produces the human-like response, sends it to us, and we receive the result. Now, with the results, it's always going to be unique. And that's actually one of the most amazing things about AI. This is known as stochastic processing. So when you ask a question and it gives you an output, that output is going to be very different than anyone else that asked the same question. So for instance, if I ask, how do you make a cheesecake? And Carly asks, hey, how do you make a cheesecake? Right? We're going to both get maybe a similar recipe, but we're going to get two different responses. They're going to be unique. And I think that's what most people want, right? We don't want plagiarism or copyrights, things like that. Now, the one time that stochastic processing does not happen is, of course, with data. If you were to ask Copilot, hey, what's 1 + 1? We're all going to get the same answer too. So when we're dealing with numerical values, most of the time, whether you're looking at data analysis or creating pivot tables or creating charts, they're going to be very similar in the way they reproduce that response. All right, so anything data, very similar responses. Anything that you're just asking open-ended, right, is going to be unique to you. And it also learns and adapts to your style, right? So if you always constantly are saying, hey, make this shorter, make it more casual, it's knowing that. So your responses are starting to get shorter and they're going to start being more casual. So it reflects what you're asking it. With that, I want to talk about, of course, the pros and cons. It is a new technology. Of course, there's going to be pros and cons. So we'll start with the pros. We'll then go to the cons. And then we're going to get into the fun stuff, I promise. I know you're like, Joe, you're doing a lot of talking. This stuff's important, but we will get into the demo and it's just going to be amazing. So some of the pros, productivity boost, I will say hands down, I love using AI. It's one of my favorite tools out there because I do find myself being more productive. I'll give you a couple examples from my end, which is being a trainer. I don't know if there's any trainers out there that had to make fake data before. Has anyone had to do that? It's horrible, right? You would have to create just these random numbers. You would have to create fake dates for hiring dates. You would have to create fake names using the name generator. Anyone used the name generator in the past? I used to use it all the time. I'm so glad I don't have to anymore. And now all I have to do is I go into Excel and I tell Copilot, hey, can you create a fake data set for me? Create about 50 employees. Include an employee ID, include a name for them, a full name, their date of hire, their salary, what department they work for. And within seconds, it creates a full fake data set for me so that I can teach. And I used to spend so much time prepping just that alone for each class. Now I don't have to worry about prepping too much because I have AI do a lot of it for me. And then I can focus on other important things like creating guides or answering client questions or working with customers one on one. So it does make me more productive in the fact that some of the repetitive, boring tasks that I had to do, I now no longer have to do them. I can use AI and then focus on more impactful tasks. So definitely a productivity boost. Integration with Microsoft Suite, that's speaks for itself. No longer do I have to leave PowerPoint to go look something up in ChatGPT or Claude AI. It's right there. It's built in. I just click on Copilot in PowerPoint and it can affect the actual files, which makes it amazing. So I no longer have to copy or paste. I can say, hey, can you insert this slide? And boom, it actually does it for me. So that's another thing that's so amazing about Copilot is, hey, it's built in. We don't have to go anywhere else. And it's Microsoft. So I know their updates. I've been using Microsoft for years, and I feel very trustworthy and secure with them. Natural language processing. You don't need to be a programmer. You don't need to know Java or C or, Python code, any of those. You can just ask it questions with natural language. Learning and adaptation. I talked about this before. It actually learns from you. So, for instance, I use Copilot with Outlook all the time, which is what we're going to showcase later. And now it actually picks up on how I speak, how I talk, what sort of verbal mannerisms I have, right? So it learns that and it says, okay, I know how Joe wants this to be. Joe's a little more casual in the way that he responds to emails. That's what the response is going to be. So it's always learning. Some of the cons. Okay, potential bias. So, of course, with any AI, sometimes it's pulling from the internet, the resources, right? And even though Microsoft does a really good job at screening all of the resources they use to pull information, there could be a little, snag or two that comes through, and boom, now you're getting something with potential bias, whether it's imagery or the content that it generates. You always want to be aware of this, and you also always want to review before you just send something off. Anytime I ask Copilot to create an email for me, I'm constantly reading through it, making sure there's no potential biases. Also, with potential bias, I will say this kind of goes back to the natural language processing. Right now, the primary language is English. So we will be looking at that, and they are going to create different models for, especially for Copilot, ChatGPT, where you can speak other languages. But right now, primarily, you're using AI in an English language. Adoption and learning curve. You have to be committed to learning, which is why you're here right now. You're trying to learn more information about Copilot. What is it? What does it do? How can it help me? But it's always going to change, right? So when we look at Copilot from 2 months ago, it looks way different today because they're adding updates. They're listening to us as customers. We're giving them feedback. Hey, I don't like how this works, or I really like this feature. And they're changing the way, oh, can we move the button over there? And it doesn't. So Microsoft does listen to us. I would just say stay on top of learning, be committed to learning it. And anytime something new comes out or something looks different, research it, look it up, or read some of those articles that come out from Microsoft. Here's what we made in changes for Copilot. That way, you're always up to date on the newest and most improved features in Copilot. Ethical concerns. So, most ethical concerns for companies is, of course, security and confidentiality, right? We want to be safeguarding our data. That is so important, whether it's client information or it's confidential data from the company. We need to be sure that we're looking at that and saying, okay, I'll use AI, but I have to make sure it lines up with whatever my policies are. Now, most companies are coming out with AI policies so that you can use AI, but just always make sure you're up to date on those. And if you are using AI, just make sure it's in compliance with any previous policies that already exist. And the last one, which you're going to see today, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It is a new technology, it's youthful. Um, Sometimes there's bugs. Microsoft's constantly fixing this daily. So I was teaching an Excel Copilot class, and I asked it a prompt the day before, because of course I like to prep my classes, and it worked beautifully. I was so happy. But of course, the training came around the next day. I did the same exact prompt. It didn't work. I tried it again. It didn't work. It didn't work. It said, I can't do that. I'm like, yes, you can. You just did it yesterday. Don't quit on me. All right. So it is useful. Sometimes it'll work. Sometimes it won't work. Just give it time. Right. With any technology, we have to give it time to grow. With that, I'm going to talk about a couple of things, but for tips on using Copilot. But for right now, I want you all to take a moment and just read this last quick note from me. Awesome. All right. With that, let's talk about a couple of quick tips and then we're going to jump straight into the content. So, a couple of tips that I would say you should use when you're prompting. First off, give it the most detail, right? So give it context, give it the tone you want. Sometimes you know what I like to do? Assign it a role. Say, hey, listen, if you were a data scientist analyzing this data, what would be some of the insights that come out of it? That's a great prompt, right? You're assigning it a role. Think like a data analyst or a data scientist. And now it's going to gain that mindset to, okay, how would they go about doing this? And it'll look up all the information and then give you a nice response. So assign it roles. Hey, if you were a researcher researching an article on AI in the business workplace, right? What kind of things or top takeaways would you give people as a great resource? Boom, it's going to start pulling out all the top resources. So that's what I would say. Also, another thing with it is tell it what you want. So, for instance, some people will be like, "Hey, give me information on this." But tell it how you want the information. Do you want it as, "Hey, can you create an article with this information?" Or can you create a table of information? Or can you give me bullet points? Tell it specifically what you're looking for in the response. And then the last thing, this one's kind of a joke, but always say please. All right. Why do we want to say please? Because when AI does take over one day, it'll know you were nice to it. I don't think it's going to take over. Don't worry. But I do use please. I don't know. It's just a habit. I'm just a nice guy. But with that said, let's jump straight into it. We're going to open up Outlook. Now, if you are using the classic version of Outlook, this is the one that we're using today. And it looks like this. So this is the icon. Just know that's the classic version. When you first open it up, this is what it's going to look like. So let's see. It has a bunch of stuff coming through. Okay. So we can see this right here is the classic version. New version icon looks like. They'll even call it Outlook New. And it looks just like an envelope, an open envelope. So the classic one has a piece of paper coming from the envelope. This one doesn't. And it has a much cleaner interface. So if you look at it, it doesn't have as many, just like this. All right, so a couple less tabs. We have rounded corners and looks a little different than our classic version, which is like this. Okay, so new version, classic version. Now, I will say that the new version and classic version, they do have different spots for artificial intelligence Copilot. So let's say, for instance, I'm in the classic version, and I'll show you both each time. But let's say I'm in here and I just want a quick little summary. So I do have a back and forward between us. This was a shout out to Garrett. Garrett is awesome. He is on our team and he's just doing amazing. Now, I don't really want to read through all of this, to be honest, because there is a lot of back and forward. So I want to save some time in my day, but I still want to know exactly what are some of the key points in this. So when I click on this email, you'll notice in the top right-hand corner, we now have this button called Summarize. And what I can do is just give that a quick click like this, and it's actually going to generate a summary. And it says, boom, Damon praised Garrett, or Garrett expressed gratitude. There's no unresolved issues or specific dates or deadlines mentioned in this discussion. So I know I don't have to do anything, right? This was just a shout out to an employee who's doing amazing. And I love that it does that. And not only does it give me a quick little summary about what's going on, but it also tells me, Joe, you don't have any action items for this email, so no worries. And I can do that for the next one too. Let's generate this, summarize. Okay, so Learnit sent me a reminder. I have a class today. All right, perfect for Copilot, Outlook, OneNote, Teams, and Forms. You're asked to join 30 minutes early. I'll be there. The Zoom room is 10, super important for me. And then there's about 24 people registered. Nice. Nothing else I really need to do. And this is awesome. I don't have to read through an entire email to get an idea of what's going on. I can now quickly look at it, see what it's about, and see if there's anything I actually have to take action on. Awesome. Okay. Now, in the new version, also, by the way, you can copy this. So if you did want to keep like a OneNote with all your notes about emails that you're getting, you can go in and do that. Uh, Biggest thing here that I would say in the response is this, right? We know this. Always just be aware that there could be some incorrect things that come through. With emails, I haven't seen too many. I will say that because it is pulling it straight from the email source. But if you are prompting it to look for research or something outside of your actual tenant, then it could bring back inaccurate information. But I haven't seen a lot with, the emails itself. So that's good news. Now, in the new version, very similar, but when I click into an email like this, you'll see the bar is a lot bigger and more in your face here. Summarize by Copilot. So it's a full bar stretched across instead of a little button like in the classic version. So you can go in and you could just give this a click. It's going to scan the information. It's giving me the information again. Up, room 10, 30 minutes. The maximum, but currently 24. No specific unresolved issues. Perfect. So once again, a little different each return, right? It's the same thing I'm asking to summarize, but it's always going to be a little different. Summarize in my old version, only in the new. So it should be in both. Yeah, Jacqueline, it should be in both. You should see either this one or a little button for it. But if you don't see it, then it might be that your admin are pushing for the new Outlook. So in that case, they might have said, you know what, let's just update your new Outlook only. And we won't, they just didn't update the classic version. So some people that are still running classic, you will see that button. But if, your company is trying to get you to use the new one, you might not, even though you do have a license. But yeah, good shout out on that one, Jacqueline. Awesome. All right. So we now know that we can save time by using Outlook and summarizing emails, which is pretty cool. What I want to task all of you with right now watching this is take a moment, look at an email, click into it, and summarize it. Try to find one that has a bunch of threads to it. So people talking back and forth like this. And then once you do that, click summarize so you can take a look at it. And then when we come back from that exercise, we're going to jump straight into creating an email. We're going to do two different ways. We're going to create an email with AI. We're going to create an email on our own and then use coaching. And then also we'll take a look at how we can go in and we can now start to use Outlook with AI in terms of changing the tone, changing the clarity, making it longer or shorter by adjusting it, and all the adjustment responses that it does keep. All right, so take a moment right now and have some fun with this. This is a really cool technology. All right, awesome. So the next thing we're going to talk about is now generative AI, which means we're going to generate a message from scratch using artificial intelligence. To do that, you're going to start off with just a normal email like you normally would. You're going to go up to the home tab, and inside of that home tab, you're going to go to the new command group and choose new email. Now, once you give that a click, it's going to open up a new email. And at this point, if you have AI, you have the license, you'll see this. Or in the message tab here, you'll see the Copilot. So two ways to do the same thing. You can start here or you can press the Copilot. Now, when you do click on Copilot, it gives you a couple of options here. Draft with Copilot, which means let Copilot generate a message for you by giving it an idea of what you want to write, or coaching by Copilot, which means you already have something written down. Now they're going to analyze it and give you some feedback. Let's start off with the draft with Copilot. I'm going to click on that and it's going to say, well, what do you want this email to say? So we all know the key word. The first thing we put in here, please. So I'm going to say, please write an email that expresses gratitude to my coworker, Mo Jones. Mo Jones is my other half. He is an awesome trainer. So I want to say thank you so much to my coworker, Mo Jones, for helping me come up with a training journey for Company C. I'm going to now generate, and it's creating a full document for me. And there I go. So it says, hi, Mo. I hope this email finds you well. I wanted to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude for your invaluable assistance in developing the training journey for Company C. Your insights and expertise were instrumental in shaping a comprehensive and effective training program. Your dedication and willingness to collaborate have not gone unnoticed, and I truly appreciate the time and effort you invested in this project. Working alongside you has been a pleasure, and I am grateful for your support and contributions. Thank you once again for your help and being such an amazing coworker. Best regards, Joe. Now, I couldn't have said it better myself. I'm very happy with this, but as you see, I always read through. And the reason I do that is because I may want to change something on this. Also notice right here, top right-hand corner, once again, I can't shout this out. Boom. You always want to review, just in case it does come up with something inaccurate, especially since it's pulling this from a source. So as I go through, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm saying, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. I said it a couple too many times, and, this is a long message just to say thank you. So I can either keep the message, or if I don't like it, I can discard the message. I can regenerate it if I want to keep the same idea, but I just want a different response, or I can adjust the message. And this adjustment is really awesome. For instance, if I click on adjust, I can choose to make it longer, shorter, sound more formal, sound more direct, or more casual. Or, like I said before, I don't know why it's in here, but you can make it into a poem. Actually, I'll do this once, just for the fun of it. Let's make a poem. Let's see what it comes up with. Hi, Mo. In gratitude, I write today for your help in every way. Your wisdom shaped our training plan, with insights deep, a guiding hand. Your dedication shining bright made complex tasks seem clear and light. Together we have built so strong a program that will last so long. Awesome. All right. Mo might chuckle at that. I don't know. But one of the things that you will notice is that when you ask it to change the tone or regenerate or anything you ask it to do besides discard it or keep it, it will keep a copy of all your previous prompts. So if I'm laughing to myself and saying, there's no way I'm sending a poem to Mo, I can go and click on the back arrow here and look at the first response. So if I go back, I can then see it again. Now I'm going to adjust it one more time. I'm going to say make it shorter. It's going to remake it. Okay, this looks a little shorter. I like this. And now I have three different options. The shorter option, the poem, or the first response that it came out with. So you have choices. It saves those for a moment, and then you choose which one you want to keep. I'm going to go with the third one because that one makes sense for me and choose to keep that. I'll type in Mo's name and then just send this off. All right. I want to showcase that once again, but this time in the new version of Outlook. So in the new version of Outlook, it's the same exact steps. You're going to go create a new email, and right away, you'll see that it says, do you want to draft with Copilot? Now, it doesn't have the Copilot button up here. If you're looking at this button will open up the pane. So if I open this up, this is actually Copilot chat. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But just so you know, if you click the drop down, you can do chatting. So that's just regular chat, asking it questions. You can do coaching. You can have it create an email for you. Or I even have an extension for sales, Copilot for sales. But if you just want to simply have it draft an email, just click on the little Copilot icon right here. That will open up the same box from before. Create a short and friendly message, request information, give an update, create an announcement, create a newsletter. They have a ton of them. I'm going to ask it to do the same thing. I'll just say, please create an email that thanks Mo for helping me create a learning journey for company C. So it's going to go through and it creates my email for me. Now at this point, towards the bottom, it looks a little different, but it has the same capabilities. Keep it, discard it, regenerate or retry in this case, or make it shorter, make it longer, change the tone, direct, casual, formal. Now in the new version, they have little emojis next to it, or once again, make it like a poem. So I can go in, I'm going to say, make it shorter. And then it still has the option to switch back and forth. Then I'm all set with that. I'm going to keep it and I can send this out. So once again, I want you all to take a moment, try this out on your own, create a quick little email to someone. You don't have to send it, but try this out. Think of something to type up. Or if you do want to send it or really have a real use case right now, you can. So I'll give everyone about 2 minutes on this, and then we'll jump straight back in to coaching. All right. Awesome. Hopefully you came up with some cool stuff. If you use the poem, awesome. You can create awesome little poems now. I think that's great. I'm going to just discard this one. Okay, switching back over to my classic, the next thing we're going to talk about is now coaching with Outlook, which in my opinion is one of my favorite features in the Copilot Outlook. And that's because I'm learning from it. I am starting to write my own emails that are sounding just that much more meaningful, right? Casual, formal. And I can now pick out the tone, the clarity, and also the sentiment for each email because of this. So, how do we do it? Well, same thing like when we were going to draft an email, we're going to go to New Email in the Home tab. Once there, I'll then have to type something first. So, I'm going to type in a crazy email. Don't make fun of it. It's supposed to be crazy. But I'm going to say, Yo, Mo, what's good? Thanks for helping me with that thing. You are super smart. You the best. If you ever need help, I'm here. Okay. This is a horrible email, obviously, right? What are we helping with what thing? There's no clarity there. You're super smart, great, but I'm using a bunch of yos and you the best, and there could be a better way, right? So I'm like, yeah, this email is not good. I'm going to go over to Copilot and do coaching by Copilot. Now, it does need at least 100 characters for it to actually look at this. So just make sure you type a long enough message, or it'll give you a little pop up saying, hey, we can't analyze it. We need more content. But look at this. We have three things that the coach is doing. It's telling us our tone to aim for friendly professionalism, reader sentiment, express gratitude thoughtfully, and clarity, be specific and concise. Let's look at what it gave us on tone. It says, your message is warm and affirming, which is great for building rapport. However, using more polished language could make the email suitable for wider audiences and maintain professionalism. You might consider adjusting greetings to hi Mo for a friendly yet professional tone. Replace informal phrases like what's good with hope you're well to maintain approachability without being too overly casual. And expressing appreciation in a slightly more formal way, such as, I really appreciate your help. And it can sound more genuine and clear. Okay, so I'm thinking, yeah, you're right. I'm going to say, hi, Mo. And instead of what's good, hope you are well. Thanks for helping me with that. I could say, I really appreciate your help. Okay. Next up, I'm going to go to reader sentiment. The gratitude expressed is clear and uplifting. Enhancing the specific, what are you saying thank you for, right? You might want to mention what specifically are you appreciating instead of that thing. Adding a sentence about how they helped impact, whatever you were doing in your task is going to be more meaningful. Consider rephrasing you are smart or super smart with your insights were incredibly helpful. Now, you don't have to just write this. You can also, of course, copy and paste this in. So I'll just do copy, paste this in. You can always copy formatting so it all looks the same. So I really appreciate your help with creating an outline for our new courses or creating outlines for our new courses. Okay, that looks good. Clarity. The message is easy to understand, but would benefit from more detail and clear structure. You might specify what help you receive. For example, thanks for helping with a specific thing, which I just did. Break up the content into short sentences or bullet points if appropriate for clarity, and correct minor typos such as I'm to I'm for a polished finish here. So I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. So I'm here to help. And this is a lot better than what I had. So, hi Mo, hope you're well. I really appreciate your help with creating outlines for our new courses. I'll put a period there. Your insights were incredibly helpful. You are the best. If you ever need help, I'm here. Sounds a lot better than what I had. And this is a way of learning, right? It's teaching me, okay, what would sound better? When you're trying to be clear in a message, you want to really focus on not just that thing or that project, which thing, right? What specifically did they help you with so that it's clear? And also the tone. You don't want to be overly casual because then it might not come over as genuine. So we want to be a little more formal in certain ways. And then I could just send this out. Now, I'll just cancel that real quick. And I want to show you the new version. Very similar. You can create a new, right, message. And the way you would access it is clicking here again, and you can say request information or customize a draft. But you may notice that the coaching isn't available at this moment. So if you start typing in, like, hey there, hope all is well, just writing an email to say thanks. If I click on it, it'll now give me the option to get coaching. So you do have to have content already in the message to then access the coach in the new version. It doesn't just have both options in the ribbon. So just keep that in mind. When you're getting coaching, you want to be sure that you write something first and then select it. And if I type this, it might say that little error like you need at least 100 characters to get this email started. Just keep that in mind too. It has to be long enough for them to provide that coaching. But with that said, that is Copilot in Outlook. Now we're not done yet. I want to show you one more thing that is integrated into Outlook. It's not specifically Copilot for Outlook, but it's Copilot chat within Outlook. So if you go to the old version here and you go to home, you won't see the Outlook on the actual ribbon, but in the top right hand corner is where you will access Copilot chat. Now, when you click on this Copilot button, it actually opens up the Copilot chat pane here. This isn't necessarily just for Copilot Outlook. It is to ask questions about anything. So I'll use that example I used before, right? Please, or you know what? Let's do this. Please give me a couple of recipes for desserts for my Halloween party tonight. And I'll send that out. And it's going to now give me a response. So it's not always necessary to use Copilot just with email. You also can access the Copilot chat and you can get, look, pumpkin cheesecake trifle. So gives me the ingredients, the instructions, ghostly chocolate bark. That looks good. Also, it says, would you like to generate a printable recipe card or a spooky theme? And then after that, it'll even give me a couple of reminders at the bottom. How awesome is this? Tomorrow's course reminder. Or I can also use other generated prompts that they said, well, maybe you want to generate a printable recipe or suggest easy Halloween party drinks to go with the desserts. Pretty cool. So it's remembering what I just prompted it and now giving me even more prompts that I might have not thought of. I can also take a look at the sources. Where did it get this from? It says this response has no direct citations. The sources below were considered though. So I can click on this and they considered using this email that I had. So they are trying to incorporate Outlook, but they had to go outside of Outlook to do that. You can also access the same feature if you go to the new version of Outlook. Only this time, it's more presentable next to the actual Home tab. So if you go to the Home tab, the last option is Copilot, and you can give that a click. It's going to open up the same pane, and I can ask it any question I want, like, please create and it looks like it did a little freeze here. No worries. There we go. Like I said, new technology, it's youthful. All right, please create a couple of Halloween snacks I can create for my party tonight. And it's going to think again. It says, here's a couple of easy Halloween snacks you could whip up for your party. Mummy jalapeno poppers. That sounds great. Candy eyes or sliced olives. So it tells me what to do. Ghostly banana pops. That sounds great. Or yogurt coating. I might actually have to make these tonight. I don't know. I'm not having a party, but still, for myself, I might. Once again, it has the same responses where you could look at the sources if there were any. And then if you look down, it says, give me more Halloween snack ideas, or help me create a full Halloween party menu, or suggest a spooky drink recipe for the party. So it starts to understand what your needs are, and it's trying to help you even more. With that said, I just want to say thank you all so much for being here. I hope you really enjoyed this course and you got a lot out of it, and you're going to start using this more. But yeah, if you have questions, we're going to open it up for Q&A right now. Put them into the chat box. So Seth, how about a tip or two on using Copilot with the calendar portion of Outlook? So yeah, I mean, Copilot integration with the calendar isn't fully there yet and up and running. But if you go into it, let me just close that off. You can just prompt it. You don't have to actually go to the calendar section for it. You will have access to Copilot right here, where you can say, hey, please add cooking for party tonight on my calendar at 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. So it's going to run through, it's going to analyze that, and it'll say, got it. I've set up a calendar entry for cooking for your party tonight at 8 p.m. You can continue in Outlook to review the details and send the invite out. So now I can go through and I can say, okay, if I look down here, I don't see it yet. All right. I have to make sure that I click continue in Outlook. Once I do that, it's going to open up my calendar section, and then I can add in the title. It already put in the time for me here. I can put my invites, use the icons, things of that nature. So it's not too invested right now in the calendar where it's putting stuff directly on your calendar for you. Sometimes it'll work where you could do that. It depends on how specific you get. And then sometimes you just have to continue in Outlook to actually do it. But yeah, great question, Seth. And then also if you do type in new event, you'll see up top the little icon for Copilot. And then if you click on it, it'll just open up the pane right here. And then you can also draft an agenda with Copilot. So that's one of the integrations in here. So if I just add a title, I'll call this Project Alpha Overview. I'll invite some attendees. I can then, of course, go in. I see that they're unavailable. So I will go to Scheduler. That way I could see all of our schedules. They're not available this time. Maybe right here. Let's see, when are they available? Looks like they're not available for today. So I might want to come over here and maybe make it here, right? And I'll just shorten the time if I have to. Or once again, I can just find a time that works for all of us. Looks like this time is going to be okay. Garrett will be a little late, but be able to attend. Now I can go back and I can draft an agenda for me. So I'll say draft an agenda for me for the Project Alpha overview. It's going to go through, provide a comprehensive overview of Project Alpha, focus on aligning the team on current status, structure, and current after the existing Copilot. So what it's doing at this moment is it's referencing different conversations that me and Garrett had, which is amazing. As you can see at the bottom, it's pulling some of the stuff that me and Garrett were talking about where we're taking Copilot classes and we're transitioning some of the Copilot stuff to Google as well so that we have both. And that's why it's pulling its content from that, because it thinks Project Alpha has to do with that. Now you can tell it to regenerate or say, retry because this doesn't have anything to do with this, but totally up to you. It thinks that that's what this project is. And then, Carlos, can this also work on a mobile device? Yes, it can. Yep. So Copilot is fully integrated in your mobile device. You'll see the, once again, icon right here. And you should see that throughout your actual mobile. Awesome, everyone. Keep the questions coming if you have any. We have about 5 minutes left. I'll stay on just in case you do have any questions. But if not, I want to say happy Halloween. I hope you all stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you all for the next one. Thank you. But I'll be on here just in case there's any questions for the last couple of minutes here. All right, everyone. Have a great weekend, and I will see you all next time. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, hope you enjoyed Copilot.